Now I am going to present the paper Challenges in Docker Development, a large-scale study using Stack Overflow. Authors are myself, Mubin Haque, Leonardo, Iwaya, and M. Ali Babar. We are from the University of Adelaide, Australia, and this research is partially funded by Cyber Security Cooperative Research Centre, Australia. First of all, I am going to briefly describe about our work. Software developers are showing a greater interest in adopting Docker technologies in their development and operational activities. This growing interest is due to the fact that Docker technology supports a convenient process for creating and building containers, promoting close cooperation between developer and operations teams, and enabling continuous software delivery. As a fast-growing technology, it is important to identify their challenges. Our paper tries to answer this question. Here, I am going to talk about the motivation of our paper. Each year, Stack Overflow conducts a survey covering everything from the developers' favorite technologies to their job preferences. Docker has been ranked first in most wanted platform, second in most loved platform, and third in platform in use in the annual survey, with the participation of almost 90,000 developers around the world in 2019. In fact, Docker was added for the first time in the survey of 2019, looking for developers' preference in different technologies. This survey result is a clear indication of developers' massive interest in Docker technology. In addition, Docker is one of the fastest increasing tag in Stack Overflow in recent years. Therefore, in this paper, we present an empirical study by mining posts from Stack Overflow to explore developers' perspective on Docker technology. Our methodology consists of mainly two steps. Number 1, creation of Docker-related dataset, and number 2, preparation of data. To collect and analyze data, we have used ESOTorrent and Google BigQuery. The first step is tag-based filtering. In this step, a set of tags have been developed to extract Docker questions. We calculate the significance and relevance of each tag to filter out necessary tags. Then we used content-based filtering, as there might be cases in which a Docker post doesn't have any of these appropriate tags. One such example is shown here, discussing Docker container linking issues which doesn't have any tags related to Docker. Since there is a lack of a standard process to assign tags to a Stack Overflow post, and there are still many Docker posts with no Docker tags, we motivated to examine the content of posts besides tag as well. We combine questions from these two filtering and obtain the Docker-related dataset. Our dataset contains questions and accepted answer of Docker technology. Then we applied preprocessing techniques. This involves noise removal and stemming. After preprocessing, we applied topic modeling in cleaned corpus. Specifically, we used latent directed allocation or LDA. From LDA, we gathered 30 topics, and each topic with a list of 10 words. We investigate the topic words and assign a topic name. Afterwards, by using open-card sort method, we categorize each topics. Our categorization provides 13 categories overall. This is all about the identification of Docker topics and categories. Here, we are presenting our results. For our first research question, Docker topics asked by developers are determined using LDA topic inference and labeling as mentioned in previous slide. This figure shows the percentage of number of topics and categorization of topics. From this figure, it is clear that developers ask more questions on basic concepts. This is in line with general understanding that developers are looking for primary knowledge relating to Docker and a list about networking error topics. In terms of categories, developers ask most questions on application development, reflecting their keen interest to build applications using Docker platform. User authentication, receives less questions than other categories. This research question focuses on the popularity and difficulty of question for each topic in a more fine-grained manner. Identifying popular and difficult topics allows us to organize the existing knowledge base and draw concrete insights. That is, we are able to identify topics that are trending in Docker community as well as the adoption of specific technologies. Also, difficult topics suggest that more attention might be needed to improve frameworks and tools of which developers are facing most challenges during their use or configuration. We also examine if there is any statistical correlation between popular and difficult topics in order to characterize Docker-related posts. We calculated this matrix for all 30 topics. Here we are presenting top 3 popular and difficult topics. And our experiment suggests that negative correlation among popular and difficult topics. In other words, difficult topics are less popular and vice versa. In this research question, we investigate whether the lack of experts is one of the factors behind the difficulty in getting answers to Docker questions. By experts, we mean the users who provide significant contribution, effective and helpful answers to the Stack Overflow community. From this figure, we can observe that Docker experts are represented mostly at the left side of the graph, which represents the presence of novice users with a lower expertise value, or the users with the less score in the expertise value. Besides, the right side of the graph illustrates the expert users with higher expertise value. The users from the baseline sample, machine learning, and web development are mostly represented here. In addition, a higher peak is observed for all other domains than Docker users. The higher peak indicates that the number of Docker experts is indeed smaller than the baseline sample. Therefore, it is evident that the Docker domain has a much lower number of experts than the baseline sample. Here, baseline sample refers to the general posts of Stack Overflow, not to any particular technology. Here, we present our takeaways. Kubernetes is used extensively among the developers. Thus, it is a clear indication of replacing Docker native orchestration tool, that is Docker Swarm. Secondly, networking issues like bridging Docker networks and connection management are harder to solve. Thirdly, configuration is playing a crucial part in Docker technology. Developers are constantly looking for Docker container configuration. Among the most trending topics, continuous integration is topmost. It is of no surprise as Docker eases the process of DevOps pipeline. And trends on basic concepts are declining fast, which is indication of a mature state. Lastly, we need Docker experts. This gap can be also explained by the earlier studies, which states that Docker development require knowledge of various domains such as operating system, distributed networking, cloud computing, and software engineering. We acknowledge that this study has limitations. Firstly, identification of Docker-related posts from Stack Overflow. To address this limitation, we used both tag and content-based selection to cover a wide range of Docker posts. Secondly, finding optimal number of topics for the corpus. In this case, we simulated our modeling over 10 to 50 topics with interval of 5 and then choose best topic number based on the coherence value. And lastly, providing names to the topics. Generally, topic modeling, in our case LDA, provides a list of words for a particular topic. We performed manual inspection of each topics. We considered top 15 highly related posts from a topic and then try to name the topic. Again, we consider 15 randomly posts from that topic and identify if the topic name matches with the randomly selected posts. Thus, we try to minimize the effect of this limitation. Several studies are performed to investigate developers' perspective by using Stack Overflow data. Some examples are machine learning, mobile, security, and the list goes on. Besides, the Docker has been explored in terms of DevOps and artifacts like Docker files. However, there is a gap to catch the actual thought of developers, what are they thinking, how the trends are going on, and what we need to do adopt this technology. Our study fills this gap by performing empirical study on Docker related posts from Stack Overflow. Stack Overflow is the most vibrant community for the developers, and more than 500 questions are asked in every week on Docker technology. We believe our research will be a baseline for several future research works. Our study reveals that almost 6% of Docker questions are unanswered and almost 60% of the questions have no accepted answer, which is pretty high if we consider other technologies. This could motivate to develop an automated question answering for Docker technologies. Secondly, Docker Forum, a dedicated question answering sites for Docker users only, can be also explored. It will be interesting to see if the results are in line with our findings. Thirdly, security issues of Docker is a primary concern. Investigating security posts in Docker can be a major contribution. In aforementioned context, we provide a large-scale study over more than 130,000 posts from Stack Overflow community to understand their interests and challenges. We hope that this dataset and our contributions can be a significant foundation for software community. With this, I like to conclude here my presentation. So we also acknowledge Cybersecurity Research Center, Australia, and the supercomputing resources at the University of Adelaide. We also like to thank Treat and Roland and Anonymous Reviewers for their valuable comments. Here are our reference lists, and I would be really happy to take any questions and answers, and you can also visit our preprint and reproduction package mentioned in this link. Thank you everyone.